Hi, welcome to another episode of Chris Dyer's Creative Friends. Woo! Today I am in St. Petersburg, Florida, in the Tampa Bay. I'm out here looking for a new home, and I found out that my artist friend Chor Boogie is out here looking for a home too. What a beautiful synchronicity. So Chor Boogie is a legendary street artist, muralist, but also he's become an Iboga medicine practitioner the last few years. So this conversation is going to be a beautiful combination between shamanic medicines and street art with a very powerful individual. So I hope you enjoy it. Woo!
While the world is burning, got to make amends. Walk on the sunny side with a positive lens. Talks about passion between a women and a man. Chris Dyer and his creative friends. Darling, ooh, ooh,
What's up, Chor?
Right on, brother. How you
Woo!
doing? All right.
Thanks for having me over your Airbnb here in
right.
beautiful St. Pete, Florida.
St. Pete.
What are you doing out here?
What are we doing out here? Well, actually, me and my wife, Elizabeth Bass, we are currently living in Costa Rica. We relocated to Costa Rica, and we decided to come to Florida, St. Petersburg. Check out St. Petersburg because that was some of the advice that we were given by some of our Floridian friends, and saying it's a progressive, up and coming town or little city, and just out here looking at some investment properties. Trying to maybe get a little spot out here, and
Nice. I think you found a little something today, huh?
Yeah, we did. We found a couple places that we're looking at. Yeah. So, but we're not rushing anything. Yeah.
Right.
This type of stuff takes time.
Yeah, you want to do it
Definitely.
properly. I think it's like a funny synchronicity that just as I came to look for my home myself, you guys were here. It's like, wow, that's so cool.
Yeah.
What I also find funny is that every time I've met you has been in Florida. Do you remember the last time we saw each other in person?
Yeah. We were we did that thing for Moksha. Yeah, the Moksha Collective, and we were on a speaking panel with a couple people, Alex and Allison Gray, and
the singer from Incubus.
Yeah, the lead singer from Incubus. Yeah, I forgot his name, but he was pretty cool.
And then the Bruce Pavitt from Sub Pop Records, who signed Kurt Cobain.
Yeah, Nirvana and all them. Yeah, that was pretty wild.
Yeah, but that was actually the second time I've met you, and I bet you don't remember the first time.
Was it in San Francisco?
No, the first time I met you was at Miami Art Basel 2011.
Really?
And I was just finding out on you. I was like,
wow.
oh my God, it's Chor Boogie.
2011.
You were doing this like big face, the one that's like, like super aggressive.
Okay.
And I think you had just gone down your ladder and be like, hey man, can I get a picture with you? I'm a fan. And you're like, okay. You had your laced t-shirt, which is the Jake Brown connection.
Yeah.
Who's also been on this show.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things I want to ask you. I really want to get into the whole like Iboga shamanic talk because that's totally like what I'm interested in. But this is mostly an art podcast, so I'm going to start with your artistic side of things. So are you mostly or 100% spray paint aerosol artist?
That's it.
Yeah.
No additives, no preservatives, all fresh flavors. It's
Even-
all spray paint. Yeah.
Even on canvas.
Even on canvas,
Uh-huh.
yeah.
You just
yeah.
go big canvases, or you can do it on small ones too.
Small canvases from 2 inches by 2 inches to, or 1 inch by 1 inch to as big as you want to go with a canvas.
Wow.
To walls.
That's
yeah.
some can control, man.
Yeah. Been doing it for a long time. Yeah.
Since what year have you been using the cans? Where did you grow up? And how did you start?
Yeah. I grew up in San Diego, Oceanside, California.
Okay, that's beautiful.
Yeah. And I picked up the spray can like around the age of 13, you know. So 43 years now, so, you know, almost 30 years, I would have to say. 30 years of painting with spray paint. And yeah, just been, when it comes to working with the spray can, it's like, I always had something with it as far as like, always needing to take it to the next level, you know, when it comes to can control and, you know, detail and, you know, different perspectives of that art form, of that craft. And yeah, I feel like I achieved that.
Yeah,
well.
I love your tiles that you do. The tiles or the stained glass.
Yeah.
That's super tight, and that you're the only person who has seen that. And then you do the tiles, and then you like shade over it, so it kind of becomes like a skin.
Yeah.
So you started writing?
I did start writing. I actually did start writing. I started quote unquote tagging. You know, my name and all that stuff, and did all that stuff, and you know,
This is what year?
Followed the whole graffiti culture and everything. What year was that? That was 93.
Okay.
Yeah, like around 93.
Nice.
And then but then I felt like I needed to transition that into more of an artist perspective, you know, because everybody and their grandmother was doing that, you know.
Right.
So
There's not enough.
I wanted to do something different when it comes to the art form of it. Yeah.
Right, because you're an individual and you probably want to like be clearly different than others.
Definitely, that's what I've always believed in. Or not even believing. That's just what I know that my path was originality.
Right.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that you started in the path of graffiti, and I was listening to your Decolonizing street art culture yesterday, and you said that a lot of the original writers don't like that term graffiti. Can you explain?
Yeah. So when it comes to that terminology, a lot, and when it comes to the perspective of the guys that have created this culture, who started this culture, like Phase 2 and Riff 170, Vulcan, Coco 144, you know, when it comes to guys like this and many others that understand the perspective of what the culture was when it started, it never had that term. They never even really had a name for it.
Okay.
You know, writing was quote unquote the name, but it was a culture. It's the aerosol culture, you know, like media and mainly media coined the term, you know, because it had its negative connotations to it. So it's like, how come you're going to have a culture that creates beauty, you know, and also does damage at the same time, but mainly creates beauty and have this negative connotation, you know, when it comes to that terminology of the word graffiti, you know?
Right.
And, you know, but like any other plague, it spreads like wildfire. So the name just spread out there, and you know, people accepted it, you know,
right.
Versus, you know, the people that started the culture,
right.
You know. See, I'm more of a traditionalist, more of I love my history when it comes to this culture, because they are the ones that I looked up to when I was a kid, and I had the privilege of meeting them and embracing them in my life and being taught by them, you know, the actual ways, especially from phase 2, and learning that perspective, because before that I had no idea. I was clueless, and I you know, was following ways that I thought were right, but in reality they weren't. You know, because like any other sheep, they you know like following the herd, and that's kind of how it was. Even though it's a lawless, you know, collective, sort of say, when it comes to people using that word. You know,
Right.
then it got popularized, and then, you know, now there's money behind it, and it fuels the dragon. So when it comes to the perspective of our forefathers who started this this movement, they did not accept this. They did not accept the words. Like my phase 2, my brother went to his grave, you know, fighting this war that he felt that was, you know, just a negative perspective, or a perspective of the way this culture shouldn't be.
Right, because it
Yeah.
almost seems like it's throwing judgment on these people who are trying to bring empowerment to themselves and creation and something beautiful, and Babylon's system is just like, no, that's destruction and illegal, you know, bullshit.
Well, you know, I'm not gonna just point the finger at the Babylon system, because all they did was point fingers because they didn't like it. You know, they thought it was there are things out there that you know they didn't agree with, because they didn't see it as an art form. But even if you didn't go out there and write on people's stuff, and you know did graffiti, you know, which to me is a subculture of the aerosol culture, and you went out there and you created beautiful artwork, you know, you were still put in that category. And that was the separation that the forefathers, or the ones who started this culture, wanted to separate from, because they were creating art. These guys were in shows with Basquiat and and Warhol, and they were still being looked upon as you know, street punks, like punks.
Right.
And these guys are real artists, you know. So there needed to be that separation. Nowadays you got like I said, there's money behind it, and then there was people, a part of the culture, around the same time that these guys that helped start the culture, they ended up accepting the terminology and accepted going in that direction, you know, and just accepted it. And you know, then you have people that are, quote unquote, if you want to use the terminology, famous, or have large followings, or that really don't know nothing about the culture, but they have a
Popularity.
they're popular. They have this following, and they'll still pioneer the term, even though they have no idea what they're even talking about. You
Right.
know, so you know, that also adds fuel to the fire. So you know,
So it's being assimilated or appropriated by people
definitely,
who didn't pay their dues in the street.
Definitely appropriated through colonized minds, you know? So, and that's a whole nother perspective. But when it comes to like separating the two, or it's kind of, I don't want to say it's a losing battle. I want to say it's more like it is what it is, you know, and like people are who they are, and they can do whatever they want to do. You know what I mean? And they can believe whatever they want to believe. And if that's a belief system, then and it's powered by numbers, then there's no way that anybody's going to change that. You know, we could put the truth out there, like I have, and many others have, but are people going to listen? That's just the whole different story.
Right.
If they do, they do, and if they really want to know their true history, then, you know, that's where they got to reach out to. That's where they have to look towards is the people that were there in the beginning.
Right.
When it comes to the history of what this culture is really about.
Right. The
It's
people
not-
who did it.
Yeah,
themselves.
yeah. It's not about like, okay, I think I can pick up a spray can. You know, feel free to, you know, because you got to start somewhere. But when you're doing that, in the meantime, learn about the history of that spray can. Learn about the culture of that spray can. It's like colonization. It's just
Right.
like people coming in, thinking that, you know, it's free, it's a freedom, but in reality, it's more of like an education.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it's good to know about the foundation of any culture, especially if you're going to dive into it and become part of it.
Yeah.
But when it comes to writing or graffiti, it's harder to access. You know, you can watch documentaries or read some
Yeah,
books,
exactly.
but who's putting it out
Yeah.
there? That's why when I saw your presentation on YouTube, Decolonizing
Aerosol art.
aerosol art,
Yeah.
then I was like, oh shit, like I was like even talking out of my ass at some points when I'm sharing a little bit about the culture, because there was just no way for me to know exactly. I
Exactly.
wasn't there, so I'm just
Exactly.
going off what other people are
And
telling
see,
me.
and then if people do like that, you can use that as a reference point when it comes to decolonizing aerosol art or aerosol culture. You know, if people look it up on YouTube and look my name up and find that video, then you know, you will get a definite breakdown of the history and the truth behind it. But it's not your fault. It's not anybody's fault when it comes to the lack of knowledge and the lack of education that's put out there. There's not that much.
It's not in university, huh?
especially if you have books. I grew up on the same books. I've seen the same movies. I've seen the same documentaries, and I thought they were the truth. I thought they were the Bibles. I thought they were, until I met phase 2, until I met the truth, and then they broke it down. No, a lot of that stuff is all lies. Yeah, a lot of it is. You know, phase 2 came out with his own book. This is another book that people can look at, and it's on the presentation that he gave, is
Right.
Style Writings from the Underground. Now that is the truth.
Where can people get that book? I said,
They can look it up online.
okay.
Yeah, you know,
Cool.
eBay, Google it.
Okay,
yeah.
nice.
Style Writings from the Underground. That's where you get the real truth of this culture.
Okay,
Yeah.
nice. Beautiful.
It's not. You're not gonna find it in Subway spray can art. You're not gonna find it in Beach Street and you know, other documentaries, even modern day documentaries. You're not gonna find the truth. You know, because everybody has their own version and perspectives of their story, not the actual story itself.
Right. Probably a story that also makes them look good.
Yeah,
in,
exactly.
In relationship.
And it relates to them. You know what I mean? So that's not the way it is.
Right. Totally.
No, you gotta get actual and factual when it comes to the true history. Yeah.
Nice. So, while we're on this whole talk of terminology, you paint murals, so I guess you could call yourself a muralist, but some people would call you a street artist. By now it's like a loaded term, because street art is just like, could be a million things depending on how do you observe it. How do you observe that term, and do you accept it for yourself, or you reject it?
Like I said, it is what it is, and I'm not here to change anybody's mind and the way they talk and the way they want to believe and say things. You know, I just want to shed a light on the truth. That's it. And when it comes to that terminology, you know, I'm an artist. I don't care about all them freaking terms. My my art is my art. I'm an artist, whether I do murals, whether I do canvas works, it's all the same to me. Sculptures, all that stuff, you know. Since I'm an artist, I can create my own terminology. I create my own meaning. I can create my own understanding, you know. I'm an artist. We all are. Everybody can do that,
Right.
you know. And I've been preaching that for years. And, you know, not to be subjected to somebody else's genre or somebody else's perspective of what they think art is, you know. That's why, you know, I have my own style, modern hieroglyphics, which is based off a writing crew that originated from my hometown.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
So modern hieroglyphics started as a crew, but it's
Yeah.
also your personal
It is.
self-expression.
It is.
And then
Yeah.
it became also a magazine.
It did. It sure did. Yeah, it became a magazine, and then it failed as a magazine. So you know, I ended up letting it go because there was some battles over the name and the content itself. So the name came from me. So I ended up winning the name, and the name is a style. To me, it's a style. It only makes sense. It's literally modern hieroglyphics. You know, when it comes to this culture, we paint images, characters, letter forms that all have meaning, understanding, and sayings that are on a surface, on any surface, mainly walls where it started. You know, just like how it is in ancient Egypt.
Right, like a code.
Yeah.
Communication.
It's the ear to the street. It's the talk of the streets. Yeah.
But also because hieroglyphics are Egyptian and Egypt is in Africa, would you say it's got like a African culture flavor
Definitely.
to it?
Oh, of course. That's where it all started. That's where it all started. Egypt and Africa. Africa itself, just within the culture itself, definitely influenced the world, and I've seen it firsthand. And it all spawned all the way down when it comes to being an artisan and artistic culture itself, leading it all the way to the aerosol culture. It's just one perspective of influence of Africa. Oh yeah, and Egypt and the way things were created there, similar to the way things are created within the culture. So that's why, you know, I call it modern hieroglyphics.
Nice.
Yeah.
Other than the people who were in that specific crew, is there other artists of the street that would fit in that particular genre or way of calling it? Like Russ Terms would come to my mind as somebody who would be doing modern hieroglyphics, for example. You know him, right?
Yeah, I know him.
Yeah.
I know Ross. I think that if any artist wanted to embrace that terminology, they would have to live it. They would have to live it.
And what does that mean?
That means that they know the culture, they understand and understand the culture, and they know the truth of the culture. They have given up the terminologies of the oppressors and the colonized minds. They've given them up, and they live the modern hieroglyphics way. Yeah, it's like a Jedi. Yeah.
Is there an intention?
The intention is to create beautiful artwork with spray paint. Yeah. So it's usually people that work specifically with spray paint, but you know, Phase 2 didn't work specifically with spray paint. He stopped painting with spray paint and just worked with markers. You know, but that's why we say, you know, you got to be. It's an artist on art terms. Yeah.
So you didn't do writing for too long. You went straight into characters and expressing yourself originally and uniquely. So you went quickly from writing to a personal self-expression, and I could imagine Chor was a different person throughout the years. So the things that you expressed were different throughout the years. Always unique, always fresh, always got the funk. But how has your art changed as you have changed? What are the things that you've expressed that are different through your personal journey?
Just with art?
Yeah.
What I've expressed, the things that have changed and that I have expressed through my personal journey, I would have to say that I liked how you said Chor was different 10, 15, 20 years ago than he is now. Of course, obviously, yeah. You know, that's the natural way of the way things are. Yeah. Some people probably wouldn't even want to meet Chor from 10, 20 years ago.
I'd be very afraid.
No, nobody would. That would be. It was cool, but that was more of the street life. Yeah, back then. That was the streets, nothing but, you know. And I painted from the streets. I painted for the streets. I painted like the streets, you know. And I painted what the streets was going through, you know. A lot of my characters or imagery back then, you know, was very, very graphic, even though those were my amateur stages of learning and growing. I created a lot of beautiful stuff, but it was still, you know, it was still wild, and it was still, it was dark.
Had a different code.
It was dark. Definitely, it was dark. You know, there was a dark element to it, because that's a large element to the streets, but it also catered to what was going on inside me. You know.
It's a reflection.
And reflecting like the stuff that I was putting in my body, you know,
which was
drugs and alcohol and just partying and, you know, and living on the streets, and living with the streets, and going through all that stuff, you know, that's coming out.
Yeah.
And a lot of that even came out even when I stepped away from the streets, you know. It still came out because a lot of people could relate to it. And basically it was like painting what people can relate to, but also painting the most wild, craziest stuff that I can paint. You know? That's why you have a lot of imagery, especially within the timeline of painting, within the 30 years, you know, I'll say within the span of, within the 20-year anniversary, the 20-year span, you know, images were like, were screaming.
There's a lot of
screaming and a lot of like screaming from within.
Yeah.
You know? And those are like some of my most popular freaking images and imagery, because a lot of people related to that. You know, they related to the pain. They related to the yelling within.
Right.
Because there's a lot of people yelling within, and they can't express it. You know, but me personally, I was expressing it on a wall, and I would express it personally. Right. You know, so some people still say I still do that, but I tend to think that I've gotten better at some things. Yeah.
Right. Well, I think like even though perhaps that stage was a reflection of a darker chapter of you, it still was medicine, because most of the world is in that dark chapter of pain and suffering, and to have art that reflects the despair of existence, like fuck, this exists and this sucks, and to see it mirrored in an image is like, okay, I'm not alone.
Yeah.
Like other people are going through it, and a lot of people don't want to show that because we're supposed to be like, oh, la la la, everything's amazing, everything's perfect, I'm doing great, there's no pain.
Yeah.
And to show your pain and be like, I'm doing like shit right now, fuck it, you know, this is where I'm at. That has courage and it's helpful to others.
Yeah.
As
Yeah.
much as we want to learn to deal with it better in healthier ways.
Definitely. It was more. Yeah, you're correct. It's definitely had a more of a medicinal approach. But the thing is that it was like beautiful destruction or beautiful pain because it was done very well, very well, very clean, and very pristine because of the way I was brought up with that spray can, and very balanced. Everything was balanced. There was always a balanced perspective to my artwork, and
Great composition.
yeah, and people were, people would embrace that. And while I'm painting, especially on the streets, there would even be people that wouldn't like it either, because it's showing them the truth.
I confronted them.
Yeah, and all they wanted to see was, rainbow bright and purple unicorns and peace, love, and happiness, which is understandable, but I'm like, you guys got to understand the balance of things. The balanced perspective when it comes to creation. Yeah, and you got to look deeper than yourself when you're looking at, especially at my artwork. You got to look deeper than yourself, because if you're turning it into you, then that's something that you need to look at.
Right. Yeah. If it triggers you, it's like, what's your issue? No, not mine. I'm just doing my thing.
Doing what I love to do.
Right.
But I'm glad to be of service.
Yeah, nice, man. Thank you for the service that you do.
Uh-huh.
So you've had, you're my age, you're 43, so you've had decades of art career already. You've made a beautiful living from it. Is there anything, any moments, job, projects in your long art career that comes to mind that's something that's like, I was so stoked I got to do that? I'm sure there's a few, perhaps,
Dude,
but...
There's freaking countless. There's many. If you want to hear them, I can tell them.
Yeah, tell me your favorite one or one of them.
I can't even put it in that perspective because they were all my favorite. They were all fun, but painting portraits for famous people, to being on stage with Wu-Tang in front of 70,000 people, to painting for the Olympics in China, to painting on the Berlin Wall.
Wow.
And that's selling for like 700,000 euros.
Holy shit.
Yeah, and...
How did that happen? They just gave you a chunk of the wall and then went to auction or something?
No, it was at an art fair in Germany.
In Berlin?
Yeah, in Berlin. Yeah, and some guy was there. He was watching me paint. I was painting live. And I had a booth inside where my artwork was at, but I was painting live. And, in Germany, these guys, they like to use cards and, tricks and all this and that. And then I come along and I'm just like flipping the can upside down and freaking painting this small, realistic looking face. And they couldn't believe it. Yeah. Without using anything.
Right.
And there was a guy watching me. Some guy just sitting there for like 2 days. Just watching me in amazement, some older guy. And then he was like, then he finally comes up to me and he's just like, how would you like to paint on the Berlin Wall? I was like,
hell yeah.
What the fuck? Yeah, sure. He's like, but I'll bring it here and put it here. I was like, what? Okay, buddy, whatever. Yeah, go sit back down. And then he was like, no. Tomorrow morning, be here at 10 o'clock. I was like, okay. Came there at 10 o'clock. Dude had a crane with a piece of the Berlin Wall. landed it right there, right in my spot where I was painting. And then I'm painting it, and then it turned into this big spectacle. They put like a barricade around there, freaking chairs, people filling up the chairs, had an audience, right? Then the art fair is going off, and so the news came. And I was on the news, and the newspaper came, and they did an article with me and this guy, and they put a price in the article.
Wow.
I couldn't even read it. It was in German.
Okay.
So I didn't even know what they were talking about.
Right.
And then they put it at my booth, the article and everything, and then some old guy goes there, and he's just like, he's looking at all the artwork, and and he sees the prices, and then he like looks down, looks at the article, and he's just like, huh? He's all, is this available? Can I buy this? And so the lady that was working the booth comes out to the guy, and they're coming up to me. I meet them. They have all these paperworks, all this paper contracts and paperworks, and
And it happened.
and then it was kind of weird though, man. It spread like wildfire, like that, dude. And other artists that were there were like, you should have seen the look on their faces.
Were they pissed?
Yeah, there was a lot that were just like this fucking American dude comes all the way out here, and he's does this.
Obviously, he liked your work, so
Yeah,
you earned it.
Yeah.
I hope you got a good cut from that.
Some good things happened.
Can I ask? Like, did you get like 50% or?
Nah, you cannot ask that. No. I just, like I said, some good things happened. Some good things happened, and some bad things happened.
Yeah.
And part of the bad things is that like I was staying at a flat with some other artists that were, kind of hating a bit. And I had to like relocate. I had to relocate the place where I was staying and go stay at another house.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's too bad. Like, too bad that artists can't just like cheer on each other. Of course, we all want to succeed, but like, your success shouldn't take away from their success.
Oh, dude, that's been a part of my career for 30 years. Yeah, man.
People being jealous at you?
I've gone through that so much.
Why is that?
That's because artists. That's just artists. I'll just say this: artists are probably like the biggest haters in the world, dude.
Really?
Yeah.
All of them?
Not all of them. Not all of them. No, not all of them. A good majority of 90%. 90%. Because you got to understand, it's like this. It's like everybody wants to be successful. Everybody wants to be on top. Everybody wants to make money. Everybody wants to do what they love to do. And then when they see, especially a guy coming from rock bottom, a painted portrait for Jay-Z, like you see somebody coming from the dirt and just elevate. But I paid my dues, blood, sweat, years, and tears, like way more than some of your average artists, way more than some of the artists that are quote unquote more famous than I am. Yeah. So
well, that's a sad situation. And I'd have to say, at least the artists that I surround myself with are loving, caring, kind of artists that cheer me on. But there's definitely artists that are jealous of my success, and they hate me, and they spread all these lies about me. Like, especially when I got canceled, they just grabbed onto that to like just bring me down. I got canceled a year and a half ago, or I don't know what you want to call it.
Cancel culture?
Cancer culture kind of stuff. It's a long story I don't want to like get into right now because I'd rather focus on you. But yeah, definitely it was sad to see that some of my main attackers were fellow artists, even artists that were my friends. And I was kind of like shocked. It's like, man, like we're all here to create and spread beauty and make the world a better place. And here we're attacking each other, especially in spiritual art. genres or circles, which makes no
Interesting.
sense.
Interesting.
Like I could understand maybe street art or because it's more of like a attack kind of vibe. It's more hip hop. It's more like I'm gonna go over you and conquer street gang styles. But
Yeah, but I'll say it wasn't really, it wasn't predominantly people from my culture. I'll say it was a good percentage of them from the aerosol culture, but it was also it was mainly a good percentage of people from street art culture. You know, people that had nothing to do with the streets at all. Yeah, man, and not even just them, even just quote unquote artists too. Like artists like that go to art fairs and gallery artists. Yeah, man. Yeah, dude.
so do you
And
have?
not even just artists. There was even people, just people. Yeah.
being hard on you?
Yeah, dude. Yeah, just with great success comes great responsibility, dude. And when it comes to being successful, dude, a lot of things can happen. That's why I kind of like, you know, success and fame are on there's a thin line between love and hate with them. And it's like, I've had it, and, you know, then it becomes like a drug, and then it becomes like, okay, I you know, you need it, you want to have it, and then you're competing, and then it just gets nasty, and then it just drove me to a point where like I'm stepping back,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna work on other art forms, but that's my first love. I love to do it, and I'm just doing it because I love to do it. That's it. I'm not doing it because people are demanding it, or people want to put me in a category, or they don't, you know, or they you know, they want something from me, you know, and I'm just like, no, I'm doing this because I love what I do.
Right.
And I'm bringing it back to when I first started it. Like, there was no money, there was no fame, there was nothing. There was just like, you know, you just had maybe a little something from the streets. That was it. You know, but whatever I built, it's not going anywhere. It's not leaving me. It's and I'm not complaining. I'm grateful for every moment of it. I'm grateful for everything, and I always continue to be. But you know, I'm the boss. I am the boss.
You decide what you want in your life.
No, nobody else. I've had agents, bosses. I have had all that stuff, and they try to dictate the flow of who Chor Boogie was, who Chor Boogie is, and that ended. You know, we had fun. I worked with them for years, but it ended for a reason. You know, and that's when the universe and spirituality, that's when all that stuff comes in and breaks everything up. And it's like, okay, you gotta come back to your roots.
Nice, beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I wouldn't say it makes me sad, but too bad that a beautiful, talented artist like you has been hurt by the world that he interacted and served for decades.
Yeah.
And of course, you'll never stop being an artist. An artist will be an artist even if you just draw on the sand and give thanks to the Most High.
Yeah.
That could be your art, and you don't have to do it for anybody, anyone, no gallery, no money, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, you played that video game, you crushed it, and now you're like, you know, what other mountain do I
Next
have to
level.
conquer? You know, like maybe I
level.
should conquer the mountain of myself, which is the hardest mountain to conquer.
Yeah.
And that's what you've been up to the last 10 years through your medicine work, right?
I actually have, you know. Actually, it's been longer than 10 years. It's been over 20 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because when I escaped the streets, left the streets, and stopped doing drugs and drinking and partying and all that stuff, I was at the age of 22.
Okay.
Yeah, age of 22, but you know, I was still tied to it for 10 years after that. I built up my entire career. I was traveling the world and making lots of money and just doing things for my art career. Relocated from San Diego, moved to San Francisco, and then you know, for about 13 years. I built my career up and was discovering myself, finding myself. Yeah, at the age of 22.
Oh wow, that's quite early.
Yeah, and I did. I found myself, and I found and I established a foundation. You know, I was very militant on being like sober and keeping myself clean and keeping myself like good. Very militant. And then all of a sudden I decided to go out there and have fun again. Go out there and party. And I did. And I'll say going to Art Basil's and Miami and that all played a major part into it too.
It's such a huge party there.
Yeah. But it wasn't just that. It was a bunch of other things. It was my decision, you know. I was traveling, we're going to all these places, and you know, I decided to just go back into lesson. So I did for a couple years. Wasn't that long. I'd say a good maybe 3 years, 3 to 5 years. But I think the last 3 of it really got like serious. Or no, actually, the last 2 years of that 5-year party mode started getting really serious, you know, and it led me all the way back to when I was a kid on the streets in Oceanside, in San Diego, back to using drugs, like hardcore.
Like what drugs?
Like heroin and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, and meth and so I literally was in a bathroom that I was in when I was a kid getting high. back in this one area, and I couldn't believe it. Some shithole fucking town, you know. So I looked in the mirror and I was like, wow, man, you're gonna lose everything again. And then that's when I decided to let my wife know, and I told her, and it freaked her out. She went out and started talking to the trees, and then when she started talking to the trees, you know, they told her Iboga. And then that's when I decided to change my life 10 years ago, you know. And
so Elizabeth got the message about Iboga through connecting with nature.
Yeah.
Wow, that's so beautiful.
Yeah, and then when she told me about it, I knew about it because I had a friend that did it. He ordered it online, which you shouldn't do, and he made his own extractions and he did it, and it kind of worked for him until, you know, he kept doing it untraditionally, and something happened.
Right.
You know, like he ended up in the hospital, you know, and but I knew about it, and I was gonna do it with him too. But good thing I didn't, because, you know, the best path is the traditional path when it comes to working with this medicine. And so, you know, when I did that medicine, it gave me all my clean time back since birth. That's what it told me.
It cleaned you all the way to birth? Like all the karma, all the bad experiences?
Everything. To birth, even past birth.
Okay.
Even past lives and past ancestral lives. So ancestral bloodline. Wow. So it cleans your entire ancestral bloodline.
Wow, that's a great antivirus.
Basi. And Basi is a terminology that we use within the Bwiti. It's like truth, word, you know. Basi.
Nice.
Yeah.
So let's really back a little bit. For those who don't know, what is Iboga? Like, is it a vine, a flower, a plant? where does it come from? What's the tribe? From which country? What does it do?
Tabernath Iboga. Tabernath Iboga is a shrub, like a tree, in Gabon, Central West Africa, and it grows these little orange fruits, and it grows wild. It grows wild in the bush, sporadically. It's not everywhere, but it's out there, deep in the jungles, African jungles. The culture that it's tied to is the Bwiti tradition, and the Bwiti culture, and the one that I'm involved in is the Masoko Asangwedia branch, and so when it comes to Iboga is the root. It's the root of the tree. So when there's a whole ceremony even digging up the tree, getting the root, getting the root of what you need, not all of it, because you don't want to kill the tree.
Okay, cool. So you can extract it without killing the tree.
Yeah, you take some of the roots and you replant the tree. Mm-hmm. And then so the tree can keep growing more roots. That's one way. There's also ways where trees are really old and then, 35-year-old, 75-year-old trees, and, they're taking entire large roots, because it's a large ceremony.
That's probably the most potent kind, huh?
Oh yeah. Yep, I've had some of that. And you have to shave off the first layer of the root, and then there's the second layer, and then you shave off the second layer of the root. You shave off the bark, then you have the layer, then you shave off the layer, and the second layer is what you eat. So you have it shaved off until you hit the actual like wood part of the root, and then it's just the vine. That's it. But then you just that layer on the root is what you're eating. So you have a pile of wet Iboga, but this is in Africa. Mm-hmm. They also have dry Iboga, which is very dry, and of course you have to drink everything with water.
Okay, so it gets,
or honey.
It gets what, liquefied and then turned into a drink? No.
It's just root bark.
Okay, so
you have three perspectives of Iboga that you can do. So there's the shaving straight off the root, and that's the wet root bark. That's the wet shavings, and that's very tasty.
In a good way or bad way?
Good.
Okay.
Good, but some people would be like, that's nasty. Uh-huh. Yeah,
it's an acquired taste.
It's a plant. It's been in the earth. It's straight earth.
Yeah.
So you got that, and then there's a part where they take that wet root bark and they chop it up and beat it up to where it's like a fine bark, and then it dries out. Then they dry it out, put it in a bottle or something. So then you have dry root bark, and then there's the other way. There's an extraction, so we can extract the root bark and make a total alkaloid, which is a TA. So there's a difference between the TA and ibogaine. So ibogaine just extracts the one alkaloid out of 13 alkaloids within the medicine, and they just take out the ibogaine and that's it. So the perspective of it only does so much.
It's probably lacking a little bit of the full
the spirituality, the traditional aspect, everything, when you're taking out all the other alkaloids.
Right.
So we have a process that extracts all 13 alkaloids, extracts everything. It's just taking the extraction out of the root bark, and you make a TA, which is in a pill form and in a veggie cap. And to me, that's the way to go.
Okay.
But then there's also another traditional way, which the pure traditional way is the tea. So the Bui tea. So they have you have roots and maybe some root bark in a pan over a fire, and water, and that's it. And you're making some tea forever, how long you want to brew it. the longer the better. And you have a tea. And that's pretty strong too. Yeah, very tasty.
So once again, so we know the physical details of what Iboga is, but from your perspective, what is Iboga? Is it a spirit? Is it a portal to a specific dimension? Is it a portal to an aspect of God or the higher God itself? How long does a journey last, and what does it do to the patients who come for healing?
Okay, so all of the above. Iboga is a spirit. The Iboga spirit is designed to connect you to yourself and finding out the truth to yourself. So you are able to go in with this medicine and ask any question in the world. But when it comes to the practitioners working with this medicine, especially us at Soul Centro in Costa Rica, who are traditionally trained, which I suggest if you're going to go down this path with this medicine, that's the path you should go down, are people that are traditionally trained and work with this tradition, like specifically to really do this medicine.
Right.
So an individual, when they come to us, you know, we have them dig really deep. Have them dig so deep within. We're talking about secrets, darknesses within that, you know, God, their mom, themselves don't even know, you know, and because they're hiding it and suppressing it. But in reality, they do know. So bringing all that up to the forefront and facing it, and with your intentions and your and how much integrity you want to put into your healing, and transform them into questions, healing questions. And then we are trained to give you suggestions and trained to help navigate you in the spirit world when it comes to taking this medicine. And so when guiding somebody into the spirit world, we help reconnect them to their souls. Because during the journey of their life, and this happens with everybody, is that they disconnect from their soul. Their soul gets to a point where you may have done something or something to somebody or something that made your soul separate from your body, but your soul is still there, still side by side, still there keeping you alive, but it's not within you. So it's there off to the side, waiting for you to rediscover your soul. It's still giving you advice, it's still helping you out in life, but to a certain extent. Versus when we help people reconnect with their souls, we help rejoin their soul, and it wakes people up from this thing we call the Matrix. It's literally taking the red pill. That's what taking Iboga is.
Right.
Yeah. You are unplugging from what is really going on out there. Basi.
Do you observe the Matrix as the movie The Matrix, where we're in some kind of like negative machine that sucks our energy, or do you believe in a positive Matrix where we're actually souls in some kind of like interdimensional capsule going through this like video game virtual reality environment where we can create both good and bad?
It's in relation to both. The thing is that you know, I can get technically deeper than you think when it comes to spirituality, because of the things that I've seen, especially with this medicine and going in with this medicine and taking this medicine a lot. And
I'm interested in
the
this.
things that it showed me, the
Yeah.
things that I've seen, You know, when it comes to quote unquote what we call the Matrix.
Yeah.
The Matrix is just a spiritual war when it comes to the balance, the balance between dark and light. You know, whatever perspective you want to put on it, you can, but it's all within. So, however you're going to make that make sense within is up to you, and how you perceive it. And so, if you're gonna go out there and try to find the truth, I would say this is the best way to do it, is working with this medicine. You know, that's just my suggestion. That's my perspective, because that's what happened for me.
Right.
And every person that I've helped heal with this medicine.
Right. But
Yeah.
you got African blood, so
Yeah.
you feel a connection with this African medicine.
Definitely. But everybody has, even if you have a drop of African blood, you're African.
Right.
Even if you have 1%, you're African. Even if you do, even if it doesn't show up in your bloodline, it's in your bloodline.
Right.
Even if you go out there and take DNA tests and it doesn't show up, it's still in there.
Right. I'm not trying to show resistance to
No,
this medicine that I
no.
myself have not taken, but I wonder if this is a medicine that would work for everybody, or perhaps it's too
Iboga.
too full on for some, maybe I don't call it weaker, but more sensitive people.
I would have to say, when it comes to any plant medicine, the plant medicine should speak to you and come to you, whatever it is. If it's in your path, if it's in your destiny to do it, that's up to you if you want to listen to whatever plant medicine that crosses your path. But when it comes to the reality of things, not everybody's gonna make it. That's just the truth. Not everybody's gonna make it.
What do you mean by making it?
Not everybody's gonna live.
Okay.
Not everybody's gonna live.
Well, we're all gonna die.
No.
Or you mean eternal life?
I'm talking about like when it comes to the reality of the state of the world that it's in now. Not everybody's gonna make it, because there's a choice being brought and being put in everybody's lap and put in front of everybody's face. And if they don't want to listen, if they don't want to listen to the choice, and that choice is, okay, you have an option here to change your life, and to change your life with these plant medicines. It's all over the news. It's all over. Everybody knows.
Yeah.
But are they going to listen? No. Not everybody's going to make it. So
I'd say most people won't take that hard path
Exactly.
to self-healing. They probably don't even know they need
But
to
if
heal.
you want to take it to a different a context of, okay, maybe it's designed that way. Maybe it's designed that way. Maybe there's a reason, because there's a reason for everything that not everybody's gonna make it, because people are stupid. They want to learn the hard way. And the thing is that that in reality, do they deserve to? I think that everybody deserves a chance if they want to listen. But
perhaps we're just in different stages. Like, since we're in multi-life journeys, maybe in this lifetime, they're like a fresher human, and they're still not on, maybe we're at like life number 100, you and me, and we're already like, okay, enough suffering, let's go back to the light, let's go back to God. But they still have to go through a few more lifetimes where they hit their face on the ground. That's like, oh yeah, I should live out of love, not, out of selfishness or whatever. At the end, I believe, this personal belief, we all just go back to source, we all go back to God, and make it take us a million lifetimes. May is a lifetime where we chose to finally work with the medicine, or one of them, and perhaps my brother and sister, it's not their time yet, and all blessings to them, and hopefully eventually they will get there, but it's not up to me.
Yeah, it's not up to you, but
it's 90%
they have options. That's why we say, that's why when it comes to us at Soul Central or being providers that work with this medicine and share this medicine, we only give you suggestions. So we're giving you a suggestion. It's up to you if you want to listen. You know, not a lot of people listen. Not a lot of people do. They don't. Not a lot of people. That's why I say not everybody's gonna make it. It's a very harsh reality of truth that people don't want to hear because it's real as fuck.
Life is tough, man. Like, I can get the message a million times, and still I make mistakes all the time in my own face. It's like, ugh, really?
Of course, that's just a natural element of things. But you know, you've already gone down a path. You've gone down a path where you've seen a perspective when it comes to working with these plants. You know, that's bringing it back to nature. That's bringing it back to the earth. You've already seen a perspective of that truth, of that reality, and but it's up to you if you want to listen to it. You know,
right. At the end of the day, the true work's done in sober everyday life, knowing the information that you were taught on how to go about things.
But not taking action. But if you're not going to take action and you know, and you're not going to take action, then not everybody's going to make it.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully we press the reset button on the video game and we get another chance.
I was like, when I took Iboga, I'm going to fucking dump this shit in the water. Dump this shit in the water, have everybody drink it. You can't do that.
No,
you just can't. You can't do that.
People gotta have the will to heal.
They
and
gotta have choice.
Right.
They gotta have choice. They gotta have decision. Everybody's in lesson. Everybody's in lesson. We're all in lesson. You know, some are just a little bit more advanced than others because they've seen some things. You know, like I've literally seen the spiritual war and what it looks like. Yeah, I've seen it.
Tell me about it.
It's not pretty.
Like, is it like demons and angels, or is it like an electrical light?
It's darkness. It's darkness. It's darkness versus like the Jedis. Yeah. You know, and I it came from a fucking movie, yeah. But there's a reality to it. That's why I call the Bwiti Jedis, like Bwiti Jedis, like anybody that or any tradition that works with the spirit world are Jedis. Works with spirit worlds, like with any medicine, they're Jedis, man. Like they are literally Jedis. They know the ins and outs of that spirit world, dude, and not a lot of them,
but they are strong and their light is bright.
Yeah, but they're holding the light. You know, and if it and like I said, there's a reason for everything. There's a reason why all this stuff is on the news and it's coming out, because the plants are talking. The plants are like, you know what? These motherfuckers out here they're gonna kill themselves. They're gonna ruin this whole planet. They're gonna destroy this place, and they're like, even if they do, they're like, okay, we don't care, but we do, to a certain extent, because we helped create you. So we have to look out for you. Now we have to clean up your mess, and so now they're coming in and working overtime to make sure that you get these medicines out there, the true medicines, so people can wake the fuck up. Yeah. That's just the truth, you know, but they're also like the balanced perspective. If no, not everybody's gonna make it. If you guys don't want to listen, done. You're just done. That's it. That's it. You guys are just gonna die.
Some people will choose that path even consciously on the level of spirit or soul, because the soul just wants to experience it all, and perhaps it wants to experience what it is to fail the video game and let the planet die and then die in the middle of it. Like perhaps God also wants to have that experience through those humans.
So this is so when you're ready to come and do Iboga, I'll take you to find out who God is, what God is. I do it to everybody that I journey. Yeah, and they get an answer. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Nice.
They do. They get an answer, and you will know who, what God is. God, Goddess.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So you are a practitioner's official word, or shaman? I know shaman is like a loaded word, but what would be the official word for the role that you have chosen to take?
I am a Ganga. A Ganga is a shaman.
Uh-huh.
You know, yeah, I don't care what people think about the word. I know what it really means and what it truly means.
A medicine man.
Yeah,
A healer.
It's a healer. It's a medicine man and a teacher, mm-hmm. and a student. You know, and I'm still learning from the Bwiti when it comes to the position that I'm in. Yeah, and it's the biggest responsibility one can have on this planet. Especially, you know, when there's shit that's happening that I just explained. Mm-hmm. When it comes to the spiritual war and all that stuff.
How long did you train to hold this position? And you had to go to Africa several times, right?
10 years I've been working at this. Yeah. Yep.
How was the process of going to Africa, throwing yourself in a tribe and doing all these things that perhaps looked weird to a San Diegoan?
Actually, it wasn't weird to me because of my bloodline, and it just felt like, really, literally, it felt like I was going home, man. Uh-huh. When I landed in Africa the first time, I felt like I was like, wow, I felt like a sense of being home. Like I'm on this earth, this like real, this is history right here. This is like real land.
Yeah.
And I can feel the energy from it, just connected. And then, but it was also crazy at the same time because I was literally deep in the African bush, in a freaking temple, in an African bush, talking about like, get the fuck out. I'm deep in the African jungle, like getting initiated into this tradition and doing a rite of passage.
Right.
Yeah. And
were you scared at all?
No.
No. You're just that badass.
No. I didn't have that sense of being scared. Like there was nothing to be scared of. Uh-huh. No.
To be in the middle of the jungle, about to do one of the most strongest psychedelics in the world.
That's the fear that they put on Africa. You know, that's the fear that they put on Africa. That's media. That's just everybody's mindset. You know, because of their insecurities, and they don't want to face their fears. You know, I've been facing my fears since I was a kid. You know, so it's like. Yeah, I'm built different, you know?
Yeah.
But I bring people out there and they end up facing their fears and they realize that it's not scary at all.
Right.
Don't believe the hype. Don't believe freaking TV. Don't believe the media. Yeah, there's crazy shit happening over there. There's crazy shit happening everywhere.
Right.
Kids are getting shot in schools in freaking America. Are you freaking kidding me?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Like, come on. We probably got more. There's a bunch of psychopath killers, you know?
There's a big imbalance in this country.
Yeah, big imbalance. Like, that's the spiritual war.
Yeah.
That's a part of the spiritual war.
That's inside all of us as
yes,
individuals.
that's a part of the spiritual war, and that comes out. You see a lot of that negative stuff coming out, a lot of that darkness coming out, that I call the nothing, you know, because that's what it literally looks like in the spirit world. Like the nothing, like some dark, demonic cloud
and that
possesses you.
And okay, so that is in individuals. So as a practitioner, do you ever have to deal with that cloud of darkness or demon possession flare out? What's your technique to exercise those energies?
we can't talk about
Oh,
that.
you can't talk
no,
about it.
we
Okay.
can't talk about that because that's the tradition.
Right.
And that's how we're traditionally trained, and that's you have to go through the Bwiti in order to really
gotta
know
be
that. Like
initiated.
there's things that I know that I've seen with my eyes in Africa that are. I'll just tell you this: that magic's real. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's real. Like real magic, not fucking Vegas, Hollywood magic. No, real,
Right.
like real stuff.
Right.
Like there's really stuff out there that I was when I seen it because of working my ranks up,
Right.
I was mind blown.
Can
I
you
was
tell
just
me,
like,
or that's also private?
okay, I'll tell you one story
Yeah.
about my father, my spiritual father, Binana.
Okay.
He's my teacher in Gabon, in the Bwiti, and he told me a story, and I asked him if I could share it, and he said yeah. About his father. His father was the Grand Master who started the village in Lobi. Lobi is where I bring people to get initiated and do the rite of passage. And that's the Grand Master village. And his father, back in the day, worked for some type of corporation or something like that, or some business that went scouting for land in the jungle, and I think that's how he made his money. Binana's father, the Grand Master, and he went out to the village. He went out and found his land where Lobi was going to be at, or something like that. And then he stumbled upon two old men, two twins. And twins are something special out there. They got the same soul. It's like, yeah, it's something special about twins. They're like royalty. And two twin old men. And he walked upon them and started talking to them. And they started having this conversation. And he noticed they each had like an egg, in their hands, just like holding the egg out. This egg, both of them, side by side. And he said, hold on a second. We're gonna go in the bush, we'll be right back. So they went in the bush for like 2 seconds. Went in the bush and came back out. Before the eggs were white. When they came back, both the eggs were black. Like the shell was black.
Wow.
Yeah. And I was like, whoa. But the story doesn't end there. So these guys came from a different tradition. And the Grand Master came from another tradition, so they're speaking, they're talking, and so these guys ended up telling him, some secrets, some certain things, some powers.
Uh-huh.
And they ended up giving him a cane, like a cane to walk with, and they told him the specificities or the specifics of the cane and what he can do with this cane. So he had the cane, and he worked the magic on the cane, and when he did, he disappeared.
Like
He literally disappeared,
Wow.
vanished.
That's cool.
He literally vanished.
He turned his frequency into past the physical dimension.
He vanished. He disappeared. And Binana told me his father would do that. And he says and they lived in Lobi, which was probably like 7 hours to the main city, Libreville. He said his dad would do it, would do the magic, and from there all the way to Libreville, and he would be in Libreville. Like teleport all the way to Libreville.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's a good power to
Yeah.
have.
So who knows
kinda-
where he was going?
Perhaps some kind of astral traveling.
Yeah, that's.
I'm just trying to put words at it to understand it because I don't really know.
That's what it is. Astro travel.
It's funny that the story with the eggs, because in Peru there's Inca lore that stays into today's knowledge of grandmothers and stuff. To pasarle el huevo to a baby. So if a baby's like wah wah crying, it's like, oh, pass him the egg. So you grab an egg and you pass it all around the baby, and it's supposed to absorb the negativity, and then the baby will calm down. And that's something that's just kind of like well known for like Peruvian grandmothers till today. So
yeah,
perhaps that those twins and the grandfather of your teacher went in to absorb some kind of like energy that turned the egg black. I don't know what the process was there, but certainly interesting.
Maybe. So the story behind the cane is that you can only teach it to one person.
Okay.
So he taught it to his son, which is my teacher, Binana. So he only taught it to him, gave him the cane, taught it to him before he died, and he tried it with his daughter when she was a baby. So they had a ceremony, and they put his daughter in the middle of the temple with the mom, like in the mom's lap, and they put a black, like, cloth over her. Did the spell with the cane, and lifted up. The baby was gone. Baby was gone.
That's scary.
And they found her 20 minutes later crying in a house in the village. Yeah. In a house in the village. That girl that's my sister. She's my sister, and I asked her about it. And she was like, yeah. She's all, yeah, he did that. And she's all, that's how, because she's a really good singer. Like really good. And she's all, that's how she got her voice, was going through that. Yeah.
That's a beautiful
Yeah,
story.
man.
So in this whole battle between good and evil, may it be invisible or manifesting through us humans on this physical dimension, are you optimistic that the light is going to prevail and the good side's going to win, or perhaps that's not the goal, is just to have all experiences? Like, how do you see what's happening on planet Earth right now, and where do you see that going towards? Obviously you believe in the side of the good and healing because you're devoting your life to help fellow brothers and sisters, but how do you see the whole thing playing out a little bit, if you could give your own personal guess?
I think we have a good chance if people start listening and start listening to the earth and start listening to the plants and start embracing these medicines. I think we'll have a good chance. But like I said, if not, then there's a quote in the Bible, and I don't even like. I'm not a big Bible. I'm not a Bible believer. A Bible knower, but I know some things from it. And there's a quote in there that says, "The meek shall inherit the earth." So if that's what it takes, then that's what it takes. And if that's the people that take the red pill, and if it's a handful of people versus everybody, then it is what it is. Yeah. So that may be people that live deep into the bush, pygmies or the Babongo and other traditions that work with these other medicines that live deep into the bush. They may be the ones that inherit the earth because they're actually original man, and they're the ones who've seen this coming eons ago.
They're ready to keep on, living with nature as they always did.
They're staying in the bush for a reason, because they know that if they go out there, that things can happen. Things are gonna happen. You know, some of them do go out there and then they, you know, they end up back into the bush. Yeah. So we have a chance. The people have a chance if they decide to, you know, be one with nature. But you get too many guns out there, buddy. You got too many guns. You got too many people that don't use critical thinking. They don't. You got too many people that are consumed by somebody else's mindset, and that's the major problem. That's like a disease. That's like a plague. Especially when you're not thinking for yourself, or when people are not thinking for themselves, because, you know, they'll consume their mentality with so much knowledge. This is the information age. So much knowledge, so much information from somebody else, when you don't even know that the person that you got the knowledge from, you don't even know how fucked up they are, and how fucked up the person that they got knowledge from. You literally don't. Nobody does. You don't know how fucked up the individual is, and they're giving you knowledge to help save your life. That's interesting to me.
Who are you talking about specifically?
I'm talking about people that
Politics or religion?
All of it. All of that. All of that. All of it. All of it. Knowledge, books, fucking all of it. Yeah, you don't know how fucked up that individual is who's giving you this information, you know, because their mindset is thinking one thing or conveying one message, but in reality, you don't even know what's going on even in their bloodline. You know, that's why I think these plants exist. It's because they're here to help heal all that.
So do you have hope for the future, or it could go either way?
I have hope for people that listen. I have hope for myself that's listening, you know? I have hope for you know, I have hope for the earth. I have hope that the planet's going to be fine. Nothing's going to happen to the planet. It's the people on the planet that are not, that will choose to survive or not. That's it. It's the people. If you really think about it, use critical thinking and think about it, and think what can really happen. You know? There is so much paranoia. There is so much paranoia going on out there that it's tearing everybody apart. Inside and outside, internally and externally. It's tearing everybody apart. To the point where, especially Westworld, here in America, freaking Westworld, man. Europe, fucking everywhere, dude. Except the bush. There's nothing out there really.
Right, it's like your land in Costa Rica.
But the thing is they're so stuck on, you know, a civil war. And they're so stuck on like a world war. Yeah, man. They're stuck on it. Because either they want it to happen, or I'm not going to say they don't, because that's not what I see. It's like they want to manifest that. They literally do want to manifest that. Even though they say, I know I don't, we don't want war. Bullshit. Why do you have all them guns in your fucking house? You know? Why do you, why are you spreading all that fucking propaganda? You know? Why? Like, why?
Well,
because you're not really thinking for yourself. You're thinking what somebody else has told you. and what you're seeing. What you're seeing out there. That's why, the information age, it's not all good information. Not all of it's good. Not all of it's bad, but not all of it's good.
It's confusing.
Yeah. And you really, there it is. You really are living in a ball of confusion.
So it's time to tune back inside.
Bazi, tune back in. Tune in, get rooted, tune in, and, go to the plants.
Connect with your spirit, as you said, your higher self, and develop your intuition as to feel what feels correct to you or not, and perhaps what feels correct to you might go against the code of where society is presently at right now, which is division and attacking each other. And sometimes when you come out and be like, love and healing for everybody, be like, oh, what, even the bad guys? It's like, yes, even the bad guys. Like, and then, it might go against that, but I hope that's where we get as humanity.
Hopefully, this place was, this earth, this place was once a peaceful place, but it's not anymore. And the thing is that there's many different perspectives of what love is. Mm-hmm. Peace, love, and happiness. There's many different perspectives of what love is, because you got gangbangers that love their block so much they'll kill for it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And justified by love because they love it. There's serial killers out there that love to kill. They love it. They fucking love it. They fucking love it. It's the religion to them. They love it. They justify it by loving it.
Interesting.
Interesting if you really use critical thinking and think about it.
Yeah.
When it comes to the perspective of what love truly is. So love is literally just a word. Uh-huh. It's the action behind it. Action. And taking action, and understanding the balanced perspectives of everything. Balanced perspectives of truth, balanced perspectives of love, balanced perspectives of hate. You gotta understand that that there's middle ground within each characteristic. That you gotta understand, understand, and understand. And it's not about being perfect. It's not a fucking everybody's perfectly imperfect. It's not about that shit. That's why I don't really talk about that, because I know I'm not perfect, and I know nobody is. Nobody ever will be. It shouldn't even be a part of the freaking language. It shouldn't even be a concept within the mental capacity of people's minds. Mm-hmm. It shouldn't be at all, because you will never achieve it. Nobody ever will. Even if you get so close, it'll get thrown off. And the only one that's going to throw it off is going to be us, you, me, like everybody. That individual will throw it off.
It's just part of the human condition.
Yeah. So, you just got to let that go.
Right.
When it comes to that, when it comes to terminology, see, I think a lot of the misconceptions or misunderstandings or failures or one of the perspectives of man is how language. I think language really fucked things up, man. Yeah. Especially meanings behind certain words, and people really taking these words and taking these meanings to heart, and embracing them and making it be a part of them, just like the word graffiti, just like that. So it's like, it's interesting. It's interesting, the things that me personally, I think that can help humanity and help change a lot of perspectives of life, or just are certain some simple little things. Yeah, starting within.
Like heal ourselves and start to communicate better with ourselves, but also start communicating better with others.
Yeah, of course. That's all a part of it. If you can communicate with yourself, you can communicate with others. Mm-hmm. It all circumferences around you, the individual. It all circumferences around me, you, the person. You start there first. See, they don't teach this stuff in school. They don't teach this stuff. They don't teach this stuff in life. You start there first, and you work your way out. Once you start there first, you work your way out.
Right.
That's it. And if everybody learned that and knew that, then everybody would be kind to each other. Everybody would be nice, and everybody would be in a different position. But it's not like that.
Well, let's hope it keeps on moving into a better direction for all of us. I'm such a optimistic, even like if I'm naive, that I believe that we still got a chance to wake up, change our frequency and vibration, and move into a planet that's more united and based out of love. I don't know. Maybe I'm a dreamer, but what else I'm gonna do?
No. I get you. I understand. I agree. And but I just know there's the things that I've seen, and there's a different perspective. There's a balance, and we have people trying to freaking leave the planet and go live somewhere else. So it says a whole lot. But words of wisdom, truth. Truth is the highest of highs. Living your truth. Being in your truth. Truth is the highest of highs.
Beautiful.
Yeah, man.
Well, thank you so much, Chor.
No, brother.
Woo!
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Yo! And thank you, guys. Sorry, my camera died here, so we gotta share this camera.
Yeah,
but
man.
thank you for tuning to another week of Chris Dyer's Creative Friends.
Basi.
Basi.
All right.
Please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, share it, so all these beautiful artists and these great conversations get to all the people possible. So thank you, and see you next time. Blessings.
All right.
Woo!
All right, peace.
Next episode, my guest will be Emily Kell.
I feel like a lot of the work I've done over the past few years has been like cathartic, and there's been like grief and longing and like those types of emotions in it. And then I've recently come to this place where I'm like really enjoying like being a silly human being, and so some of that is coming into the art I'm making.
So please make sure to subscribe, like, comment, and share. Big thanks, and see you next episode. Peace.